Good morning, everyone. All right, we are finally back in action. Today was my first day trading options in over a week. And let me fix this. And it went very well. It was a phenomenal day trading. Was very, very, very happy with the results. And yeah, hopefully the rest of this week is just as good as this morning was. But yeah, we're back in action. Full events, full mentorship, pretty much everything. Back to reviewing my options trades every single morning and every single day this week. And moving forward, I will be live trading my future strategy in premium voice. So I will see you guys in about 2.5 hours for that. But as far as this morning's options trades go, I guess it starts with the pre-market analysis. And yeah, I was bullish for the pre-market analysis. If you take a look on, well, the gap isn't there anymore because it filled. But if you take a look, just basic momentum, trading continuation to pivots, just basic liquidity analysis, I am bullish to this high on NQ, but ES has been stronger than the NASDAQ, and I am bullish not only for the supply to break, but we have a little bit of this gap left over. This is the gap on the daily, and it's right here. So the gap was initially from here to here, and most of it filled, but there's still a little bit left. And future gaps on the futures charts, such as ES and NQ, with how liquid they are, and just the amount of trading that futures does. Right, it's open most days a week. During the week, only 1 hour is the futures market close. Gaps are very rare, and gaps fill. So when there's a gap on the daily chart on ES or NQ, I pay a lot of attention to it. And the gap was right here. So this blue line is where the gap is completely filled. So initially, that was my bias for today. We are on a major pivot. We are in really heavy supply, but we've already invalidated most of the supply. This is our third time testing the supply, and during this test here, we did already eat up a lot of the supply in the supply, so there's not much left. So that's my bias for the morning, and I'm bullish to this point. Now I can't see that supply on the 1 minute because it's a little bit too far away, but you can see it on all the other time frames. This NQ supply came a lot closer. It's from here. So that was my analysis. And when the market opened, we ended up dropping. So 1 minute before the market opened, we ended up dropping. And it was right before market open that I said, and let me pull up my channel. I said, if this drop invalidates, I'm in. Right? So this drop was really lucky. And during the first candle of market open, we did end up dropping more, as you may have saw in that candle. We dropped even more. I said, if this drop invalidates, I'm going to be in calls. And it doesn't need to fully invalidate, just most of it. And as it did, and as the candle went from red to green, I filled SPX calls roughly about here. I filled the 0-day SPX 5600 calls at 2.85 was my fill. And this was my PT here. And you can see during this next candle that exactly happened. Candle was red, put in a buying wick, and this candle actually didn't just explode up right after I entered. After I entered this trade, and I entered somewhere roughly like here-ish, it actually sat there for a decent amount. Everyone was able to get in. But in literally the last like 10 seconds of not even, the last 5 seconds of the candle just exploded to the upside. No idea why, but it did. So it was beautiful. And I ended up taking profits on this candle and sold the last on this candle because it was MIPT and NQ swept this high. And right as I put in the selling wick, I sold the last bit. So I got 47% gains on this trade. I averaged about like 40, I'd say. My highest sell was at 4.2 for 47%, but I averaged right around 40%, and this was beautiful. Now, I was still bullish for NQ to get up here, but wasn't like super willing to act on it just yet. But this was now a confirmed liquidity sweep on my level. The gap's filled now. And, if this drop invalidates on NQ, I will be back in calls for the next pivot. So that's our first win. And we do end up dropping. Now that we're dropping, NQ is clearly weaker than ES, so I'm thinking QQQ puts. This is a very solid pivot right here. Right around 19,466. I am looking to enter puts. Here, the problem is we will be in 4 or 5. We'll be in a lot of demand zones. And also, if you guys look at the chart, you can see easily a head and shoulders may form. However, due to my liquidity analysis, in just the basic way that I trade these mornings, if most of this run does invalidate with how nice this pivot is, I do have to be in puts. But I decided, with how heavy the demand is and with the potential head and shoulders set up already, it's very, I wouldn't say it's very likely, but it's not unlikely at all that we go for a bounce before we come down. So that's what I'm looking for when that happened. But anyways, we did end up dropping, and I did fill puts here and half size. I'm just half sizing these puts, and I say if we break through VWAP, I will actually average up because then it's not looking like it's going to make the head and shoulders. This yellow dotted line on my charts is the VWAP. I don't really use any of my indicators besides my zones indicator, which is the red and green zones you see, and then VWAP. And I only use that as a reference point. So if we break past VWAP, I will average up. And I almost averaged up on this next candle, but it was too early in the candle and it closed green. So just put in a buying wick. Otherwise, I'm looking to average down roughly right around here. Right around where this left shoulder peaked. If it breaks above that, well, then my other bias is going to kick in. Because then we've invalidated a vast majority of this drop. If we don't chop up or whatever to form a head and shoulders and we just kind of explode to the upside, I'm going to have to cut it because it's no longer going to look like a head and shoulders. It would have invalidated a majority of this drop. And the same analysis that triggered me into the SPX call trade will trigger me into QQQ calls for not only new high of day, but for the supply break and pivot right here. So the same reason I'm getting into this QQQ put trade, it's the same reason that I'd get into QQQ call. So I have to, I'm half size. I'm hoping to average down, but there's a chance that I may not be able to. Again, I was so close to averaging up on this candle. With it in the first 10 seconds of this candle, it dumped, but immediately it put in a giant buying wick and shot right back up. So by right here, it looked clear that it was going to bounce, and I'm getting ready to average down at this point. That is a lot of lower lows with buying wicks in a row. Then we get another red candle. I don't think too much of it because I got a buying wick, and we've only made lower highs with these candles, so I'm still expecting it to pop to the upside. And we start doing it. I start preparing to average down. It's looking good. NQ is weaker than ES. It doesn't end up happening. Very, very close to averaging up on this candle. It was right here that I'm like, okay, maybe we won't actually bounce. Looked like it was for sure going to bounce on the last candle. But keep in mind, one important note is this candle had a buying wick the entire time up until the very last second. In the very last 2 seconds of this candle, we actually invalidated that buying wick. There's only a teeny tiny bit of it left. So if this candle would have stayed like this from the beginning of the candle, I would have just added my puts. But it flipped super red like this only in the last second. So once again, getting ready to average up on my QQQ puts. And this candle right out of the gate explodes to the upside. I'm like, okay, that is too hard of a break. We didn't really get any selling wick. I didn't really get any red flag on this candle. And the fact that we put in this red candle and this red candle means there's a lot of shorts to squeeze out of the market right now. So, yeah, it's not looking too good for my shorts. So if I get one more green candle and it's not like a super bearish candle, I'm going to have to stop out and go hop in calls. Even though, I've been in this put trade for 6 minutes now, and I've specifically saved buying power to average down. That was the whole plan. This is the hardest temptations that I face in the mornings is when, I'm confident in the trade, but I enter half size on purpose. I patiently wait for the chance to average down. And then when the time to average down finally comes, it actually looks too bullish like this candle is. And I may just have to cut the trade and throw and not even try to save the trade because, as most of you guys are, it's very tempting to try to save all of your red trades, and even more so if you plan on averaging down. So very hard not to, but this next candle showed up, and I cut the puts during this candle actually. So I cut it during this candle, not even halfway up in the beginning. I'm like, yep, this is just way too bullish. This is not a head and shoulders. It's not chopping up. It's way too vertical. This is bullish. So I cut the trade for a minus 33% loss. But I'm unwilling to average down, even though it's only half size. So in reality, it's only like a 17% loss if I were full size. You know, as Mark Douglas says, your losses are nothing more than business expenses that make you available for the next winning trade. What would I rather be in right now? Averaging down on puts or getting into calls? Well, I really can't average down on puts because this is actually a call entry from my previous analysis, which I already talked about. So I cut the puts right here, and it technically wasn't a 1-to-1 risk to award, but I mean, I was half size, so it doesn't really matter. So minus 33% on that half size trade, still very green on the day. I mean, I'm green by like roughly 120 to 25% trade. But I actually fill QQQ calls on this candle here pretty much towards the end of the candle. I filled the 0 days 477 calls at 76 cents. And this is a full size trade. Very easy full size trade. We did come back below my entry, so everyone was able to fill on this trade, and then boom, it was beautiful. The calls peaked right here pretty much. They started chopping, so we did get one more huge green candle here, but they started chopping a ton. This entire candle, the calls peaked right here. They didn't even get close back to where they were on this big green candle, which signals that we're going to reverse. I mean, we're seeing a net outflow on those calls enough to literally reverse the premiums of the calls. I was pretty much all out here. I did have a tiny runner just because it was strong. But aside from that, I took my gains. 55% is what they got. Beautiful trade. So we got plus 47% full size trade, minus 33% on a half size trade, which is fantastic. That's only, minus 17% if it were full size. And then we got another plus 55% gain for a trade. And normally I would just call it because I've been trading for a whopping 15 minutes. And you guys know me. I'm in and out. I trade the morning. That's it. Make money, lose money, and I leave. Right? I've been very consistent. My psychology's been fantastic. It has not been draining whatsoever. It's just been nice. But I say, you know what? I'm going to stick around because that is a very, very nice pivot still on the NASDAQ. And, it's looking like we may have peaked. It's looking like we may have peaked. And I don't think this is a perfect trend line or anything. But what I do know is this is actually a perfect double bottom on NQ. Now, it's not a huge deal because it's very close together. But I do still like this pivot. So if we come all the way back down, I'll stick around because I want to get back into puts. Well, we end up dumping, and I'm starting to prepare puts, and it's clear that ES has flipped weaker than NQ, at least at the moment. We've come all the way back down to this candle. If NQ were the same, it would be right here. So it's looking like ES is indeed weaker than the NASDAQ. And I end up filling my SPX puts pretty much on this candle. Or was it the next one? I can't. No, it was this one. It's this one. Looking back, I did want to fill on this candle, and I could have at 654. I ended up filling on this candle. And I filled before the close of the candle. It was really unfortunate because I entered at 2.7, but they dropped to 2.4 like right after. So you guys got a way better fill than me. And it's also unfortunate because NQ pretty much ended up flipping weaker. This candle was a lot larger, but ES had validated most of the move. But the big reason I didn't want to enter right here is because I believed NQ looked like it was on like the 61.8 fib, which is a reversal area. Yeah, There it is. I didn't actually draw the fib, but just eyeballing it, it looks like it's there, and that's a big reversal spot. So I'd rather not. I wanted it to break past it, and it did. So enter the puts here. Really, I mean, the bare minimum PT is this ES pivot. Like that's kind of the first one. This is the short trade that I had drawn out on my chart. But realistically, I'm looking for NQ to get to that pivot. It was pretty unfortunate because NQ puts moved a lot better, but it ended up being very nice because NQ got to this pivot. I decided to hang on a little bit though. I trimmed half, but ES looked like it was barreling towards this demand. So I'm like, all right, I'll hold to this demand because there's nothing really indicating a reversal right now. This candle could be a reversal candle on NQ, but it is a fairly weak demand, and we have another really nice pivot right here at the bottom of this demand. And this demand is only a 45-minute as well, so pretty weak. We get to demand, and I closed it on this candle. Cut it all, and that was plus 63% gains. By the way, I forgot to mention, I did enter this trade half size because of the potential head and shoulders on NQ, and entering half size previously did bail me out. I did end up averaging up on this candle, though. So I did average up on the candle. So I got 63% gains on the trade from the initial alert, but in reality, I made a smaller percentage gain, but more money because I averaged up. So that was roughly 63% on 2/3 position size is what it was, because I did get that full average up. But if you went 60, if you went 2/3 size, 63% is probably what you should have gotten. So yeah, very, very bright green day. So to recap, we started off with a 47% full size winner, and then a 33% half size loss, then a 55% full size winner, and then a 63%, you can just call it 2/3 sized winner. In reality, my percent was less, but that's because I averaged up. Made a nice extra chunk of change. And I literally sold the bottom too. Like I sold the bottom. It was beautiful. So shout out to demand that reversed that for me in this NQ pivot. But as you guys saw when I first got in here, NQ was making a lot of higher lows. Just like this morning, it did finally break. So this has been a fantastic morning to trade. It was really choppy right here, but it's looking really nice. And obviously, it doesn't take a genius to expect NQ to break this demand right here. This is a beautiful pivot. Same thing with the S. But yeah, that was my morning. So does anyone have any questions regarding any of that analysis or the trades that were taken? Yes, Kybro, my vacation was awesome. Back to full force though. It feels good to be back, and it felt very good to be back. First day trading options, and it was fantastic. Not only was it fantastic P&L wise, but just putting into practice the Mark Douglas things that we talk about, right? With business expenses, making you available for the next winning trade. We saw that, right? Making the conscious decision to not average down and just pull the plug and hop in the calls I knew I should have. There's NQ breaking demand just as predicted. Yeah, it should go as well. But no, it was a really great start. Unfortunately, like my futures trading was pretty ass on vacation actually. I had Friday was a red day, and then Monday through Wednesday were red days, but they were pains in the ass because every single day was a green to red trade every single day. And on Wednesday, it was kind of my mistake. I put my PT a little bit too far. So NQ dropped. Sorry, ES dropped like 130 ticks. My PT was 140 ticks. I put it at the second pivot, and that was a psych error because I think I just naturally wanted a bit more money. Now, it's still very unlucky. It's really just unlucky, right? It should have got to my PT if it dropped that far. But anyways, it should have been green, but I ended the week pretty much break even because Thursday and Friday were green. But it should have been a green week. So we'll see how this week goes as far as the futures trading goes. But all right. Everything. Kybro, it's been a while since you've been in here, right? Or are you new? Hang on, let me see. Let me do my due diligence here. I actually can't see for some reason. May 2023. Yeah, I felt like you've been in here for a while. And I just said ES should go to, and it did. So there you guys go. You caught it. You caught a nice little short scalp if you are still trading and took that analysis. Where's the photo? Crayon, you know when I pinged everyone in the free trading floor on Monday, last Monday? That's where you can see that picture. Yeah, okay, bro. That's what I thought. Well, welcome back. Seems like you're starting to be active. Yeah, I pinged everyone on Monday, Crayon, just regarding the activity. But yeah, all you mentorship people, all that stuff, back full force. I will be setting up the curriculum for the next 2 weeks today. So all you people in the mentorship, I'll keep you guys updated on that. Kybro says I made 3,500 on my PA account today. Only 4 more days until payout. Congratulations. Kybro, what's the size of that PA account? Like, is it a 50K, 150K? Oof. What's the balance at right now? $56,200. Yeah, so you okay? Well, on the pace that you're at right now, you're up 6,200 in only 4 days. So right now you're on pace. It's not a big deal. But do not request a payout unless your account is up $11,700 because of the 30% consistency rule. I just did the math for you. You'll get denied if you request below. Exactly, it's $11,667. So get to $11,700 and you can request. Remember, there's a 30% consistency. That's why I pretty much tell everyone, don't, you know, yes, you could make more money. You know, sometimes if you're up 2,000, you know, you could make more. But I see a lot of people's psychology fail when, you know, for example, their account's up $8,000 in just 8 trading days, which is fantastic, but they can't request due to the 30% consistency rule. Then what happens? Now, all of a sudden, they're no longer just trading to be correct. They start trading for money because now they need to make more money to request. And you guys can see how that goes. When you start trading for money, it'll all go downhill. So just do your best to retain your psychology and don't request until that account is over 11,700 or you'll get denied. Oh, you're not on Apex? Okay. Okay, you're chilling then. Then yeah, you're gonna need 7,500 or 8,000 or whatever it was. When I hear PA accounts, that's what Apex calls them, so I just assume Apex. But yeah, for everyone else, be careful with the 30% consistency rule. But all right, I will let you guys go. The market is dumping right now. Hopefully, you guys aren't becoming a victim of FOMO at the moment. I have no idea what's gonna happen for the 1030 trade. To be honest, the market's been freaking crazy lately. It doesn't seem to know it. It doesn't really know where it wants to go. You know, we're kind of bouncing. I wouldn't be surprised if we come all the way back down from this bounce. We didn't even bounce in demand on ES. Did we even bounce in demand on NQ? Probably. Yeah, probably. Let me see. My trade. I need to restart my Trading View app because I cannot edit any of my indicators for some reason. It's all glitched. But yeah. So, anyways, do you have to buy the Apex copy trade? No. If you're on Trade-Of-8, you can just copy trade on Trade-Of-8. Go to Manage Groups in the drop down where your account is, and then you can create them. I would not recommend it though. Do not copy trade your accounts. You're gonna blow them all up. Start with one account, trade it flawlessly for 2 payout periods, 16 trading days. If you're on Apex, you know, some are different, right? But Apex is 8 trading days to pay out. If you trade it flawlessly for 2 payout periods, 16 trading days, flawlessly, where not only do you follow your rules and you don't break a single one of your rules for that 3 week stretch, but you're not even tempted to break your rules, then add one account flawlessly. Again, I would just do 1 payout period though. If you do it flawlessly for 2 weeks, add another account. Flawlessly for 2 weeks, add another account. Or else you're going to blow all your accounts and start digging yourself a very deep hole, because then when you blow 20 accounts over and over like I did, um, you're going to just sink a lot of money into PAs and just group trading PAs trying to chase your money back that you've lost and whatnot. So falls into the revenge trading category. So yeah, avoid that. Don't allow yourself more leverage until you deserve more leverage, and that'll be revealed to you in your journal. Yes, mentorship meetings are back starting today, FEMA. Yeah, I got group one of the groups today, then tomorrow, then Thursday, then Sunday. But all right, I will let you guys go. This is recorded, so I'll let you guys know when it is posted on YouTube. It's good to be back. A lot of exciting things on the way, a lot of projects that I'm working on at the moment. So I'm working on those in the background. I'll keep you guys updated. And yeah, hopefully this week is fantastic. Otherwise, I will see you guys in exactly 2 hours to live trade my futures. It's not very interesting when I live trade my futures, so I take one, maybe two trades, and each of them take anywhere from 30 minutes to 2.5 hours. So it's not very entertaining. But wow, the market is dumping right now. I wonder what the news is. At least we called it, though. You know, if you're in this voice, you had the potential to make money, because that was a very easy call to make. But all right, I'll see you guys later, and I'll let you guys know when this YouTube is posted. Good luck if you guys continue to trade as well.